Hi, I'm Fuji. This time, I received a request for a tutorial video on how to use ZeroWork from someone who purchased ZeroWork in my introduction. So in this video, I will explain the basic usage of ZeroWork. It may seem a little difficult to use, or it may be difficult to get used to it, but let's do it together. You can really use this easily, so I hope you can do it together. First of all, I will explain how to set up ZeroWork. This is the official ZeroWork website. If you scroll down here, you will find the Download ZeroWork agent in the Resources section. If you click here, you can choose between Mac OS or Windows OS. Please choose one according to the device you are using now. In my case, I'm using Windows, so I'm using this one. And when you download it, please install it. I'm sure you'll get a warning, but there's no problem with that. So I hope you can proceed with the installation. And when you install it, a ZeroWork agent will be installed like this. Click here. By doing this, you can start it. However, even if you start it, the agent will only be displayed on the taskbar. This is normal. It's not an issue. What you can do with this is that it's an agent to run ZeroWork, so you can just display it on the taskbar. Next, I will explain how to create a task bot and the basics of automation. This is the dashboard of ZeroWork. First, let's create a task bot. Click the button on the top right. You can set the title freely. I named it Test Automation. The basic usage is to add automated actions to the displayed canvas. There is an automated action in the menu on the right. So let's set this open link. Then an open link was set up in this canvas. This is an automation that opens a link, as the name suggests. Click this icon. Then there is an area where you can insert a link. For example, let's enter the URL of my blog here. This is my blog. Enter the URL of the blog and save it. Let's actually start it. There is a Start button on the top right. If you press this, the automation will be executed. It started up like this, and the page of my blog was opened. And it will close like this. When you do an automation, be sure to activate this ZeroWork agent. If this is not activated, the automation will not open. I removed it once. I actually removed it now. Let's test again to see if it opens in this state. I'll start it. Then please see. It failed to start. In other words, be sure to click this ZeroWork agent to start it up. Then, by pressing this Start button, the browser will start up and the page will be opened by the ZeroWork agent. It was very easy to create an automation. First, let's do an automation to open a page like this. This is the third setting. This time, I will explain how to use cookies. I created an automation to open the URL earlier. It's an image like this. When I open the URL, my blog is opened in the logout state. Then, I will explain how to open the URL in the login state. When you are actually logged in, you are logged into WordPress like this. When you are logged out, this is not displayed and you are logged out. So how can you open a page in the login state? First of all, there is a Google extension that allows you to get cookies. Please install this. It's called Edit This Cookie. For example, add this. Add to Chrome. Add an extension. Then it was added to Chrome. And in this, please pin this Edit This Cookie you just added. Next, I will move to my blog this time. I want to start this blog in the login state using ZeroWork. When you open the page here, click on the extension of the Edit This Cookie you installed earlier. Here it is. And click on the 5th cookie export from the left. Then I copied the cookie to the clipboard. And go back to ZeroWork again. And move to the page where you make the automation. There is a setting icon in the upper right. Click here. And there is an area where you can add cookies. Paste the cookie you got on this page here. And press the X button. This is complete. Then I will actually start it. Click on this button. Then, the page was open in the logout state until a while ago, but now the page is open in a properly logged-in state. By using cookies like this, you can omit any processes such as entering a password or entering an ID to log in. Next, I would like to automate the task of using the keyboard command to search on Facebook. First of all, I would like you to open this page and check it out. There is a tab key. There is a tab key on this keyboard. If you click this once, you can specify elements like this. Let's use this to move to the search field with the tab key and actually automate the search. First, open Facebook. The search bar is here. It's on the top left. If you press the tab key once and twice, this area will be specified. Please remember that. If you press the tab key twice, this input area will be specified. First of all, go back to the edit screen of ZeroWorks automation. First, open link. Let's add the task of opening the Facebook page here. This is the Facebook URL. Copy this, and enter the Facebook URL in the input area of this link. And save it. In this state, it will start with Facebook logged out. Please take a look. It's like this. You need a process to log in. So I'm going to use the function of the cookie I mentioned earlier to avoid the login process at all. Open this and use the Edit Disk cookie to export and copy this Facebook cookie. And next, click the setting icon of ZeroWorks. Paste the cookie you got earlier. And save it. By doing this, it will open with Facebook logged in. That's why you don't need to log in at all. Next, as I explained earlier on Facebook, if you open the page and press the tab key twice, this input area will be specified. So please look at the menu on the right here. Can you see the keyboard action in this? Add this, and connect the open link and this keyboard action with a line. Please take a look here. If you click the keyboard action, you can press the key here. So I explained that you need to press the tab key twice. So I'm going to press the tab key twice here. It's tab, and save it. I think you usually enter some text that specifies the input area on Facebook. Let's search for ZeroWorks. I want to search for ZeroWorks. Open the page, press the tab key once or twice, and enter the text here. There is insert text or data in this menu. Put this in, and connect this with a line. This is the action of entering text. If you take it here, it doesn't matter, but let's enter ZeroWorks. You can also choose the speed of typing freely. Let's do it like this, and save it. If you enter any text here, you can search by pressing the Enter button. So I want to set it to enter text and press the Enter button. What kind of action should I set here? Please think about it. Please select the keyboard action that came out earlier and install it. And connect it with a line. The key to press this keyboard action is the Enter button. I want to set this Enter button so that searching can be done by pressing Enter. And save it. Let's actually see what kind of automation we can do with this. Click the Start button on the top right and run it. Then Facebook will open first. And the tab key is pressed twice. And the text is entered and the Enter button is pressed. That's the flow. In this way, Facebook can also be automated. What I want you to pay attention to is, for example, let's say you press the Enter button to enter text and search. However, it takes time to actually search and get some results. For example, let's search for HTML. Then the page will open after a few seconds. So you need to consider this. Here you can specify how many seconds to set the time difference after doing this work. For example, you can make a delay of at least 4 seconds or 4 to 8 seconds at random. After searching, you can wait 4 to 8 seconds and then set the next work. So it's important to set the time difference. For example, The keyboard action is like this. It's set to 1 second now, so it's going to be quick, but you can set the time freely. You can wait 10 seconds and then move on to the next task, so it works well in strict SNS. For example, I think there are times when the account freezes because you used an automated tool, but I think it's important to set a time difference or intentionally delay, so I hope you'll use it. This time I'm going to explain how to click elements using CSS Selector. This time, I'm going to use CSS Selector to explain how to click elements on the page. Before creating an extension, download and install the Google extension copy CSS Selector. By using this extension, you can easily copy the CSS selector of a specific element. For example, this is my blog. The recommended tool is the button that says here. To copy this selector, right-click and click Copy CSS Selector to copy the selector of this button. If you add this extension, you can easily find the location of this button. For example, if you paste the CSS selector you just copied here, it will look like this. It means that the CSS selector is here. So please install this Copy CSS Selector. This is the extension recommended by the official ZeroWork. Personally, I think this Google extension is easier to use. But this is recommended by the official ZeroWork. Personally, I think this is easier to use. What I want to do with this automation is to open Twitter and make a post and publish it. First of all, let's start with an empty canvas. First of all, I want to do the task of opening the page of X. Copy the URL of this Twitter X. Install the open link and click the icon. Paste the URL you just copied here. And save it. This time I want to open the page without login, so please copy the cookie. Click the setting icon and add the cookie you just copied. From here, when you actually open X, you will click the button that says Post. At that time, right-click and click Copy CSS Selector. You can see the selector of this button. This means that the selector of this button is this. First of all, I want to do the task of clicking this button. Install the Click Web element and connect. Paste the selector you just copied in the Click Web element and save it. Let's actually do it so far. Start the automation in this state. Then X opens and creates a post. I was able to create an automation where certain elements are clicked like this. When you click Post, a pop-up will open like this, so you need to insert text here. So from the menu on the right, install Insert Text or Data. And connect. I will insert the text I want to post here. For example, I entered hello. And you can freely select the typing speed and save it. By doing so far, I have entered the text. All I have to do is click the Post button. Copy the selector of this button. Install the Click Web element. And connect. Paste the selector here. After posting, I want to see the automation for a while, so I intentionally put a delay this time. I hope you can see how to automate. I was able to do it with this. Let's actually start it. Click the Start button here. Then the X page will appear. And automatically the button that says Post will be clicked. The text will be entered. The button will be clicked. And the text Hello will be posted. In this way, you can also automate posting on the X page. This is how to click the elements on the page using the so-called CSS selector. This time, I specified the CSS selector as the place to click the elements on the page to automate. For example, you can specify it in this way. Text equals post. Double quotation post. By doing so, you can specify this button on this page. In this state, let's switch to the form of text equals post and actually do it. Then, even if you change it to this form, it will work without any problems. Yes, like this. One way to do it is to use the CSS selector to specify the elements on the page. You can also specify the elements with labels and text. Text equals post. The important thing is to specify the elements by using the form of text equals double quotation. Also, as I explained earlier, if you do insert text in post, it will work without any problems. This method works on any platform, so I hope you will try it. This time I will explain how to scrape. In short, I will explain how to extract data from the page and how to actually do it in ZeroWork to automate it. Let's do it together. It's easy. First, as a sample, let's scrape the copy of this header in this page. Let's start from a really simple place. Copy the link of this page and set it to open the link of this page with open link. Next, I want to scrape the header copy of this page. So which one should I choose to scrape? Save web element. Connect. This is an action to save the elements on the page and use it for scraping. Click here. Then there is a part where you can enter the CSS selector. Copy the CSS selector of this header copy and paste it here. You can obtain it in the form of a link, a text, or a custom attribute. This time, let's simply scrape this text as it is. This completes the basic setting. Finally, you need to specify where to save it. It means where to save the scraped data. There is a data table on the left for this. Create a new data table here. It's about saving. I named it test, anything is fine here, and create a new column. Let's create a column called text, and I created a save point. And there is a column called text in it. Now, when you actually save the data you collected by scraping, I would like to save it in the text of the test I made earlier. And update it. Now let's actually start with this content. The current state is like this. There is no data in it, but I will start it here. Now my blog page is started. And automatically the header copy has been copied. Excuse me, it has been scraped. The scraped data is saved here. Here it is. This part is firmly saved here. Let's delete the data once. In this way, the basic usage is to specify the link of the page and specify the CSS selector of the element you want to obtain, so that you can obtain the text or link of the element. Now let's make it a little more sophisticated. For example, I would like to scrape the URL of this page. First, copy the URL and paste it in the open link, and add a new column here in the data table. I named it URL. And save it. Now, I will change the CSS selector to save the elements in the page. Here it is. As before, I copied the CSS selector here. For example, I will paste it here. Now let's make it a link. Let's make it a link and specify the URL instead of the text. Now let's actually start with this content. Now the page is opened and the URL of the first article has been scraped. And the data is saved here. In this way, you can obtain links and text from the page. Now let's make it a little more complicated in the third step. In the third step, I would like to obtain all the links of each article on this page. It will be a little complicated from here. It may be complicated at first, but it's easy if you get used to it, so please follow me. First of all, it is the same as opening this URL. What is different from before is that I want to obtain the links of each article on this page, not one, but multiple links. So first, I'm going to set up this action called Start Repeat. This means repeating a task. What kind of task is it? It means repeating the task of getting the link in the page. First of all, you can set how many times you repeat it. This time, let's simply choose the standard and set it to 3 times. Then the first, second, and third pages will be obtained and scraped. You also need to change the content of the scraping. As a CSS selector, first, open the page and check the CSS selector of each article. It's easy to understand. It's related. It's the third one. Let's go with the third one, the third selector. And then, for example, this is it. This is the selector of another article. And this is the selector of this article. When you do this, do you see anything related? 1, 2, 3. It's the third one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the link of the 9th article. And it's the link of the 10th article. It's very similar in basic form. The only difference is the number of brackets. What does it mean? It means that the number of brackets is different. The number of brackets is the order. This article is the third one. The 9th article is here. It shows these things. The repeat I said earlier. It's this. I set it to repeat 3 times here. What I use here is the root of this loop. I use this. What is this? Only the number here is different. I use this here. What happens when I use this? For example, I set this. I erase this part. When I set this, only this number changes. I replace it with this. When I replace it, when the repeat starts, the first time, and when the second repeat starts, the second time, when the third repeat starts, the third time, I replace it naturally. It may be a little complicated. Basically, there are many cases where only the number part is different. In such cases, you can solve it by using the root of the loop. Let's apply the root of the loop we just made here. I applied it, and save it as a link. Save as URL. And connect. And connect here too. Let's actually start it. Press the start button, then the browser will start. The link of each article will be obtained from the page. This time I set it to scrape only 3. 3 links are scraped. Like this. In this way, it is important to use this loop and repeat. This time, I said how many times to repeat in the standard. After that, with the CSS selector, I subtracted the numbers in the brackets. Instead, I replaced it by using this part. By doing that, the numbers set by repeat are automatically assigned here. You can get each element in the page. You can scrape it. For example, this is the same as other SNS platforms. For example, Facebook. This is my Facebook profile. It's the part of a friend. For example, let's get the name of this CSS selector. Or let's choose this one. Copy and save the selector. In this way, you can see the relationship. The basic structure is similar. The difference is that the numbers in the brackets are different. I replaced it here. Let's try scraping from the part of a friend of this Facebook profile. I replaced it, and I got a cookie. I want to replace only this number with this relationship. I use this again this time. This time, let's get the name of each user. I set it to text. I set it to text. And let's save it to text. Let's get 5 people this time. Let's actually start with this content. It should work the same way on Facebook. Automation is actually being done now. The names of each user should be scraped. Scraping is over. Let's check the save file. The names of each user have been obtained. In this way, you can scrape on SNS platforms and other sites. However, the point I want you to pay attention to is that it really depends on the SNS. In particular, SNS hates the work of scraping. It is often designed to make scraping difficult. For example, as you can see now, Facebook is one of them. For example, Twitter. Twitter is especially strict about automation and scraping. That's why I didn't do the scraping work on Twitter in this tutorial video. Please be careful about that. However, if it is a platform or a website with a good structure, scraping will be realized. Please try it. This time I made it a little easier with Copy CSS Selector. However, it is possible to create a reliable CSS selector. For example, if you open this, you can see the class name and ID of each element. If you want to make a stronger CSS selector, I think it's a good idea to make it yourself. Recently, there is also ChatGPT. After showing the HTML element, you can request HTML to create a reliable CSS selector. You can also create a CSS selector using ChatGPT. If you can't do it with Copy CSS Selector, I hope you will try it. Basically, this time as a method of scraping. I explained how to scrape one text, one link, multiple links, and multiple texts. Please try it. See you.